Hi, I'm Lydia Gillman, and welcome to the Stepping into Purpose podcast. This season, we're diving into the inner blocks that hold us back from fully stepping into our purpose. Things like self-sabotage, imposter syndrome, and limiting beliefs. Each week, we'll explore practical tools like nervous system regulation, rewiring neural pathways, and healing past trauma to help you overcome these patterns. You'll hear from inspiring guests, sharing their personal journeys of growth and transformation. If you've been feeling stuck or held back by doubt and fear, this show is here to remind you that stepping into your purpose isn't only possible, it's your destiny. Join me every Thursday for new episodes packed with insights, encouragement, and the tools you need to help you live your most aligned life. Subscribe now, and together, let's step into our purpose. Hi, I'm Lydia Gillman, and welcome to the Step Into Purpose podcast. For this episode, I really wanted to hone in on the fact that we're moving into a fresh new year. 2024 is out, and we're welcoming in the new year of 2025. And the new year is such a powerful time to set intentions for the year ahead, to reflect on the past year and look at what has worked for us, what hasn't worked so well for us. And the fact that every year we're delivered this new opportunity to start afresh and to set intentions for the year ahead is such a special thing, which I've really harnessed in the last few years. Like many others, I've decided to choose a word for each new year to really focus on and to have as a guiding light throughout the year to keep coming back to time and time again. And this past year, I have chosen the word surrender for 2024. I had a lot of going backwards and forwards of what word to choose, and I kept coming back to surrender. And to be honest, it did scare me a little because I think for me, I've always had an element of control in my life. I've really liked to have that element of control. And I think it goes back to when I was a child. I'm a particularly independent person. I'm a Sagittarius, and I like to have my freedom and my independence. And even as a toddler, I'd get so frustrated because I obviously didn't really have as much independence as I would have liked, because I was in a tiny little body and I couldn't do all the things I wanted to do. And I see that in my daughter as well. She's a teenager now, but she just wants to live her life and travel the world and do all these things. And it's a journey, you know, you're not quite there, not quite able to go and travel the world by yourself at 14, but your time comes. And so surrendering to where you are now is part of it, the stage of life you're actually at. So it goes way back, but during my life, I have, especially my teen years, I had disordered eating and a lot of things which came back to control. And I know with my heart that we need to surrender and that our way of doing things isn't always the best way, and to really let go and to let the universe guide us, because what our limited mind might think is best is often not what's best in the big picture. So surrender was the word, and it was such an interesting journey. I did have to do a lot of surrendering to things which weren't my preference. As I've shared before, coming back to our home country of New Zealand after a year overseas, it wasn't my preference to come back. I would have loved to have stayed where we were in Australia, but my family's needs had to come first, and my husband's job manifested back in our home country. So we came back, and actually now that we're back, it does feel like the right thing for all of us. But I had to let go of a lot of my own wants and desires and control for those things to happen. So it's been a really perfect word for my year. And I've been mulling over what my word for 2025 is going to be. And in the shower, the last couple of days, each time I'm in the shower, I keep coming back to to the word depth, to do a deep dive, to really go deep for this year ahead in 2025, because I've noticed in my life, I don't often go deep enough. I don't dig deep to really get that gold. And I found that even in my spiritual practices from when I was a teenager, when I started meditating, and I'd be in meditation and start to go to a really deep place. And when I'd start to go there and sink into that place, I'd jump out of it. I'd sort of get a fright and jump back to the surface. It's like I'm almost afraid of that depth, which is where all the gold is. Everything good is buried deep within. And I've done that in a lot of different areas of my life, sort of jumped from one thing to another rather than really digging deep to get that gold out of whatever I'm doing. So my word for the year is to dive deep, to go deep within myself or whatever I'm doing, to go deep in so many things. And that really feels like the perfect thing for me. And again, it comes with a little bit of fear, like, oh, if I really go deep, what will I find, in a lot of areas. But I think that's a guiding force as well. Well, if it scares me a little bit, that's probably exactly what I need to do. And that's exactly the focus I need to put into my year ahead. So it feels good to have come to this conclusion. Okay, that's my word, and that is my focus for this year. And I know already that it will bear a lot of fruit for me. So as we move into this new, fresh start of 2025, I really encourage you to borrow this practice if you don't already, and to choose a word to focus on. Like I say, it's been an amazing tool for me to just keep coming back to as a touchstone, to keep coming back to my word and to help it guide me through the year. So it's a little process to choose a word. You might have something which just pops up straight away, or there are a few different tools we can use. You might want to have a short journaling session and tune into what really resonates with you emotionally, spiritually, and practically in your life. You could ask yourself, what am I craving more of in my life right now? And as you journal, see what words come up, what words encapsulate that experience that you want to create for yourself in this year ahead. You could also ask, what one word could guide me towards growth and alignment for this year, and explore some different words. In the show notes, I'll put a list of different words which I love. So you might want to have a look through them and see if any of those really jump out at you. So I think it's such a powerful practice, and it can provide clarity and focus in moments where you're trying to make decisions or you have uncertainty, to keep coming back to this word and let that be a guiding principle for you. So as we move into this new beginning, think about what you want to become by the end of 2025. Who are you wanting to become? What do you want to create? What do you want to feel? What do you want to achieve? And let that be a guiding light towards what your word will be. What will help you move into that person you want to become by the end of 2025. And if there's one which feels a bit scary, that is probably the right one, because we want to push ourselves so that we can evolve. That's the purpose of our life, is to always keep growing and evolving and shedding the dross, which is hiding that gold. So I would say just go through lots of words and think what feels right for me for this year. Another word I was considering was elevate, which is kind of the opposite to dive deep. But both of them, they kind of give the same result, to either go deeper or go higher. So depth really felt like the right thing for me. But yeah, it might be elevate. It might be joy, maybe bringing more joy into your life, more courage, more trust, abundance, balance. It's always interesting. A friend of mine chose space in 2024, and she said that was a really powerful one for her, to just allow things to have space. That's powerful. And often in the shower is where I get my best ideas or moments of clarity. And that's where I had the idea for my word. And the next day it came back again. So I knew that my intuition was telling me this was what I needed to focus on. So as we move into this fresh new beginning of 2025, think about what 2024 taught you most about yourself. For me, it did highlight some of these control issues, which I have, especially as my chosen word was surrender. So 2024 really taught me to let go and just to trust that things will work out fine if I let go of the reins. And the universe has a far greater plan than what I have in my limited mind. So just really trusting and surrendering to that power and that life force. Actually, I read a beautiful book just in the last few weeks, right at the end of my surrender journey for 2024. And it was called The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. It was the most beautiful book, and I listened to it on Audible, and I went through it in about a day and a half or something. I couldn't take it off, to be honest. I just listened to it. I binge listened to it. And it was just so enlightening to hear how he really just let life do him, just let life work its magic on him. And all these amazing opportunities came into his life, and they weren't always what his mind would have preferred, but they were delivered to him, and he knew in his heart that they were the right things. So he just put the limited mind to the back and accepted all these opportunities which came. And it was a wild ride. He had so many incredible things happen to him, up to building $1 billion business through computer programming, which he never considered himself, but the opportunities just presented itself time and time again from him just letting go of what his limited mind, what his ego mind would have preferred, and just going with surrendering to what was happening in the now. So that is a really beautiful book. I highly recommend it to everyone. The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. So that was a perfect way to wind up this journey of surrender for me. And I'll continue this practice into 2025, but layering on top of that, I really felt depth. So really going deep is my main focus for this coming year. When you've come up with your word for the year, reflect on it, write it down and display it somewhere in a prominent place in your house so you can see it and you can reflect on it. You could use it as an affirmation or a mantra and keep coming back to it in moments of indecision or uncertainty. And check in with this word regularly to realign your intentions and to see if everything is going in the same direction. Another really powerful practice to do at the start of a new year is to imagine how you feel at the end of that year. So you can take some time to yourself, find a quiet space, close your eyes, and imagine yourself at the very end of 2025. Where are you? How are you feeling in your body? How are you feeling in your heart? How are you feeling in your mind? What has happened in your year? It is undoubtedly going to have had some challenges, but how did you conquer those challenges? What helped you? Did you go deep into the word you chose for your year? Did you embody the qualities, the values which you were really wanting to focus on in the year which has passed? This is a really powerful practice, and it can give us clues as we set our intentions for the year ahead, where we want to be at the end. We can reverse engineer and set those intentions right at the start of the new year. So I encourage you to take just 5 minutes and to do that practice. And finally, as we wrap up this New Year's episode, think about what you want to bring forward with you into this new, fresh year of 2025. This year ahead is a blank canvas, and we can fill it with whatever we want. We're always creating our lives, so to do it consciously and intentionally is the absolute best way. So think about, what do you want to bring forward with you? Are there any particular people which really light you up and you want to keep them close in this year ahead because they bring out the best in you and they might challenge your shortcomings and help you grow and evolve? What habits have you developed or practices which are helping you achieve your goals and grow in the right direction? Keep those with you and bring them forward into the new year. Conversely, are there any things you want to leave behind? What practices or habits have you developed which aren't so beneficial and are really getting in the way of what you want to do? Are there any people who are toxic to you and hinder your growth? You can love them from afar, but maybe hold them more at a distance and keep them behind in 2024. This is our life. It's our creation. And while we want to be loving, we can still set those strong boundaries, and it's important to, so that we can have this vessel of our year be exactly what we want it to be and to have it for our highest good. So take some time to think about what's coming with you and what are you leaving behind. Thank you so much for joining me at this amazing time. It's really a gift to have this fresh start, this opportunity to really turn the page and consciously create what we want to manifest in our year ahead. Sometimes my husband says, "Oh, it's really just another day." But sure, it's another day, but it's a great opportunity. And this is what I love about time. It is a human construct, but it always gives us the opportunity to start again and to start again. It's always a fresh new moment. And we can bring into that moment whatever we want and whatever we put our focus and attention on. So I hope you all have an amazing new year, amazing celebrations, bringing in the new year in whatever way works for you, whether it be time to yourself to reflect, whether it be celebrating with family or friends, whatever way is important for you. Make sure that you take stock of all that you've achieved in this past year and all that you want to bring into your life in the year ahead. This is the most important part, this opportunity to reflect and to set fresh intentions, to always be starting anew. And let me know what words you choose. I will have a selection of them in the show notes, which you can peruse and see if any of them light you up. So as I reflect back on 2024, one key theme was really prominent, and that was the theme of unworthiness. This year, more than any other, I really dived deep into this belief of mine that I wasn't good enough. And so many of us have this belief subconsciously. We don't even really realize it, but it blocks us from doing so many of the things which we want to do. So this year I really dived deeper into it and unraveled it a lot more. And it's really made the hugest difference in my life. I have a free mini course called Thrive with Self-Worth. If you'd like to go through it and discover some of the things which I've learned about limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, which includes perfectionism, procrastination, all these things which were showing up in my life. And I only just this year put it all together and realizing that they all came under the main theme of unworthiness. So I'll leave the link in the show notes below if you'd like to sign up for my free mini course, Thrive with Self-Worth. And it's all delivered via email, and it's a 3-part series. Thank you so much for joining me. It is always such an honor and privilege to share my truth with you. So thank you so much for listening, and have an amazing start of 2025. I'll see you next week.